Nurture and support. Nurture and support. This is a podcast theme song. And it's really short.
Nurture and support begins in 3, 2, 1.
Alright, welcome back to another episode of Nurture and Support, a recommendation podcast where we share all the awesome with you every week. I am Mel at Karmic9 on Twitter, and back again is Kelly.
Hi everybody, it's Kelly Tool at KELLYTHUL on Twitter, and excited to be back for another week of recommendations.
Yep, that's what we do, folks. We recommend things.
That's what we do, and we recommend you listen to us. But if you're already listening, it's a wasted recommendation. But thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, although we'll mix it up because you never really know. Sometimes the ending has a plaintive corgi howl. Sometimes it has a cool video game thing. You never know what's going to happen in the show. And so we're mixing up today, and no social media recommendations this week. Just a couple recommendations from Mel and I, and we're going to call it a day.
Yep, because I'm having trouble talking and breathing and coughing at the same time. So we'll make this a short one. My recommendation this week, I haven't done a game app in a while, so I'm going to share with you an app I have sort of rediscovered on my phone during my illness here. And it is called DungeonFlicker, and it's made by a company called Gree Incorporated. That's Gree. It is available on iOS and Android, and the little icon for it is kind of cute. It's a, as the name Dungeon would imply, it's a medieval RPG type game, but the little icon is a sort of a medieval brick wall with an archway and two glowing red eyes shining in the dark. So the point of this little game is you are a hero, and for those of you who are like me, always get hung up on the character creation phase of RPG games. There's no character creation. You are an anonymous hero. You don't have to worry about picking a race, a character class. The only thing you have to worry about in this game is finding your way through each floor. It's kind of like a maze. And when you find gear, picking it up and putting it on. So the essence of the game is you're starting on the bottom floor of a tower, and the point is that you're going to fight your way to the top of the tower. And the way you do this is, given the name Flicker, DungeonFlicker, you move by swiping the screen. Every floor is divided into 16 rooms. So it's kind of like a maze. You're moving through the rooms trying to find the exit, and as you move through a square, there is a little map that shows up on the upper side of the screen to show you where you've been. It doesn't give you the whole map until you move through a square. So the point is you're trying to fight your way through a few enemies that are in there. Occasionally there's a boss on every third level to get to the exit to go to the next floor. And every time you defeat an enemy and you level up, you get to allocate points into the typical classes of your health, your attack, your defense, your speed, and something I like, luck. So you can put points into luck and just hope you luck into killing something. I've in my latest game of it, I've been putting a lot of points into luck, and it seems to be working, actually. So I'm feeling lucky today. But the way the game goes is you go through 3 sections. Every tower section that shows up on the screen consists of 3 floors. When you get to the 3rd floor, there's usually a boss that you have to get through to get to the exit to that level and for you to move up to the next set of 3 floors. At that exit, and it's only on every 3rd floor, do you get an option to leave the tower. And why would you want to leave the tower? Well, the enemies get harder each floor that you go up in each section. You will probably need to start the tower over several times from the bottom floor to sort of build your character up to be able to take out the enemies as you get higher and higher. You also need to earn gold. Every time you kill an enemy, you get gold. Some of the stuff that you pick up, you can sell if you don't want to keep it anymore. And you have a very limited inventory, so it's a good idea once in a while to leave the tower so that you can actually sell some of your inventory, because you only get like 8 slots. And if you find something really cool you want to pick up, then you have to throw something else away. And you may have been able to get some money out of it depending on how strapped for cash you are. The great thing about this game is that it's free. I don't often recommend things that are completely and absolutely free to people, but this app is free. There's also nothing to buy in the game. You just play. You need gold to buy the levels of the tower. You also need gold to open up slots in your character screen so that you can actually equip more of the stuff that you find. And it does take quite a bit of gold, so you'll be playing over and over and over again. But the good news is these floors change every time you play. They're random, and to me it seems the more that you play, the more randomized the floor gets, where you get more and more dead ends. Now, why would that be a problem? Well, you start each level with only a certain amount of moves. So if you make a wrong turn and you're not paying attention to your map, which is sometimes easy to do, especially at the beginning, you will run out of moves and you'll lose automatically because you won't be able to make it to the exit to get to another floor. Every time that you kill an enemy, you actually, depending on how much you kick their butt, you actually get a couple more moves added to how many that you have. So if you just really, really wipe them out, you get 3 extra turns, which when you get to the upper levels, you really kind of need, because as you start losing, when you lose a fight with an enemy, you don't automatically get kicked out of the tower. You get to continue to move on, but you lose some of your moves. So if you're really getting your butt kicked, you can't leave the tower except for every 3rd floor. What happens when you die? You get kicked out of the tower. You do get to keep your gold, but you lose all of the inventory that you picked up since the last time you left the tower. So say you found some really cool sword and you equipped it, but you were getting your butt kicked and you died and you ran out of moves and you got kicked out of the tower, you lose that sword that you equipped because it was not on you when you entered the tower.
Can you get it back again?
No.
Oh.
No, not unless you stumble upon it again the next time that you play. So it's a very easy concept. There's not a lot to have to understand. It's really pretty mindless, but it's fun nonetheless because it does change the levels every time that you go through it, and it can get pretty challenging, and it's fun to go through and see what changing your stats does for you. And they come up with neat little cartoon monsters that you're fighting. One of my favorites in the early levels is a Bulltoad, and I'll put a picture of that up on the blog post. For some reason it cracks me up. But there's all sorts of things like catbirds and just mishmash monsters that are everywhere. There's a goblin that's one of the level bosses. So it's just a fun game. I like it. I like RPGs, and this is an easy, mindless time waster that is absolutely free and I find quite entertaining. And you have to keep playing. You have to play for quite a while to get enough gold to buy some of those extra slots, because they cost quite a bit. So, but it doesn't take a really long time, but you will have to play for a while. You're going to have to waste some time playing the game to earn up all of that. And there's a bit of a strategy sometimes as you get higher up, especially like getting up into I think the 3rd tier of the tower, floors 7 through 9. You're really going to have to buy some of the HP potions that it asks you if you want to buy when you enter the tower, and those cost a lot. So you're going to have to earn gold to buy those potions so that hopefully you will make it to, say, floor 9 so that you can exit. So there's a little bit of strategy that you have to do there, but like I said, it's not real complicated. It's a very easy concept to pick up on, and I don't think anybody will have any trouble playing it. If you like that sort of stuff, I think you'll enjoy it. I do. So I had gotten it a long time ago, and I have a lot of apps on my phone. And I was idly going through, I probably ought to clean some of these off, and found it again and went, oh, I like this game. So I thought I would share it with all of you, and then I remembered, hey, it's free, and it's never once asked me to buy anything. I think occasionally it may have asked me to rate it, but I don't even get that anymore. So there's nothing to buy. It's a free app. I don't know what the catch is. Maybe they're reprogramming my brain while I play it. I don't know. But it's free, so that's worth it.
It's the best kind of free brain reprogramming is the best kind of brain reprogramming.
Yes, absolutely. I could use some brain reprogramming.
That's awesome. What I really like about the recommendation is free, Bulltoad, creative creatures, luck. That all sounds.
Yes.
I like all those things. This is in my wheelhouse and the type of game that would interest me. Where I'm concerned is this whole move thing, and requiring you to have a sense of direction. I mean, it's a 50-50 proposition for me to find my basement on a regular basis. I really have issues with spatial relationships, which haunted when I would co-play with someone in Doom. We cooperative play in Doom. I was an irritant because I don't know. Haven't you played this level before? Yeah, but I don't really remember.
Yeah, those kind of maps were always complicated. I didn't really play so much co-op in Doom, but I did in Unreal, and yeah, I never could. It didn't matter how many times I played a level. I mean, I would have to play it for like a level for like over and over for like at least an hour straight before I would remember, oh, I turned left there, and I'll get back to my base.
Yeah,
I'm terrible at those kind of maps. This map is much easier, but like I said, it is a little bit of a puzzle. There are a lot of dead ends, and it seemed to me like the longer I played in a session, the more dead ends there were, and so it's using up more of your turns, because you will want to go in that room, even if you think it's a dead end, because there are chests scattered in some of the rooms where there's loot to get. So you're going to want to go in there. But you are going to use two moves, a move to go in there and a move to get out. So you do sometimes have to pay attention to how many moves you have left as to whether something is worth it. And if you stumble upon the exit and you haven't cleared the rest of the level, you have to actually look at the map and see if you have enough moves left to get to the room that you haven't cleared and get back. Because if there's not a monster in there for you to kill, you're not going to get any extra moves to help you get back to the exit. So, and if you don't make it to the exit, you lose. They boot you out of the tower, baby.
Alrighty. Oh, sounds fun though. And free. It's my favorite price.
Yep. I knew you'd like that.
Alrighty. So we know that Mel will often recommend games and they're fun, and we know that Kelly has trouble recommending things that have happened within the last 20 to 30 years. And I'm really doubling down this time because this week's recommendation is going to be about World War I. How about that? 1914. So we're going way back. This is on Netflix. And it is a series of 8 shows. They run around 51 minutes each, and it's called The Great War Diary. And it is the story of 14, so the war started in 1914, and it's the story of 14 either soldiers or civilians, and all of the dialogue and the storytelling that occurs in these episodes is based off of their actual letters or diaries. So it's grounded in actual individuals. So you get to this, and it seems like a little bit of a variant of some of the things that Ken Burns does on a regular basis, where you've got actors reading kind of letters from people in Civil War and all those types of things. So I mean, that's clearly an influence of this, but they've also taken kind of a different angle that there's actors portraying these characters that follow through all 8 of these episodes. So there's a German soldier and a civilian in France and a woman from England who was living in Germany when the war started, and she's still in Berlin, bombed out Berlin, and all these types of things. So it's fairly interesting. I think if you watch it, you'll feel a lot more informed and more knowledgeable about some things. I don't think you're going to feel happy. I really did not fully appreciate the carnage that was World War One until watching this, because it kind of starts off at the beginning to a certain degree. Folks almost naively got into this war, and so
Naively got into a war.
and it's kind of
I just stumbled into this war. I didn't.
Whoa, I'm in a war. But you do start to see a big difference between the generals and the leaders and the people that have to live with their decisions and what their worlds are like, and it's pretty stark. And just things, and there are many inventions in World War One. It starts off with the first time the French army goes to engage the Germans. They're all on horses. Many of them are still carrying lances because that's the way they fought the last war. And away they go, and so they're heading down the field, say it's time to engage the enemy, and they meet invention number one, the machine gun.
Yeah.
And so there's just this carnage, and so all of a sudden invention number two comes along, the trench. And so this was, in World War One, the shift from a different, we used to fight on the grass and kind of collide into each other and do your thing, to now you dig trenches and basically try and batter and wait the other person out. Other fun inventions during World War One: chemical gas, mustard gas used to, so they start to, so they're demonstrating for these different folks some of the just kind of what that kind of meant when that started to happen. And all of a sudden you have a bunch of people coming back from a battle and they can't breathe and their lungs are just gone and all these types of things. So and then the generals just continuing to be basically disinterested in it. So they cover it from a lot of very interesting angles. One, how the rules changed, how conflict changed, and the implications there. The costs of the human costs of what basically started to happen in this environment is, cities started starving. Paris and Berlin, and is that they were walled off, they were bombed out, they were, and so there wasn't any food at all, and you had to get into a barter economy and all these types of things to try and get some things. So it was just really difficult on the citizens and the soldiers. So bad, in fact, that as they got into, this war's only going to be a year, or maybe it's only going to be 2 years, as they got deeper into the war, it basically came to the point where many of the European soldiers were getting ready to basically go on strike or quit, just say, we're done, because this is just, they were just no longer going to do it. Right around that time is when the Americans joined the fray in the Europland War, and all of a sudden that created enough onus to kind of drive the rest of the things out. So you get, like I said, just some fascinating angles on one, the change in warfare, the differences between if you're having to live with the decisions as a soldier versus the people making the decisions, the consequences to people at home that that they're wondering, the young German boy who goes off and joins to fight, and then he gets killed, and his parents processing through that, and you follow those diaries and books and all that. I will give a bit of a warning. Show 4 in this series is called The Heart's Desire, and The Heart's Desire kind of covers physical attraction during wartime, physical needs maybe, and so it got into I was unaware that many military, how actively involved in near battlefield brothels the military structure was, but they actually were a large part in setting some of those up, and there would be ones for officers and ones for enlisted and those types of things. And so that in and of itself was just kind of interesting. I didn't really know that, and so that part was kind of interesting. But they do this very nice mix of live action, actors filmed, doing the lines from it, really well done, and then they'll also intersplice a lot of actual footage from the time as well. So you get this kind of interesting mix, and it's still kind of told documentary style, but you kind of get little scenes with the actors and then little scenes with the documentary footage. In The Heart's Desire, as they're talking about the brothels, there's basically someone talking through it in the voiceover, and then there's this kind of blurry image in the background that I'm assuming as it started off, I go, they're trying to illustrate what would be standard brothel activity, one would guess, just to kind of almost a little bit snuff film looking, nothing graphic, but it's still obvious it's something. The problem is that particular clip, which my sense is, and maybe they just fooled me on how they filmed it, but my sense is that's closer to documentary footage, and this was not shot for it. This was some of the stock stuff. It goes on for a long time, way longer than I think. I got it. Move on.
Way longer than you were comfortable with.
I was not a huge fan of that particular segments, but I just wanted to alert you, if you do watch it, that you get some interesting content in there. But it's just, and then they get a little, of course, into some of the medical situations in terms of how that was handled, and the number. This is a war where you're blowing stuff up, you're throwing shrapnel when you're not gassing people, and so one of the key consequences of trench warfare is lots of limbs are lost. And there's a lot of footage about kind of dedicated places where there, just hundreds of amputees out on the yard exercising, learning how to adapt without whatever they no longer have. And there's actual documentary, actual existing footage of some of those situations as well. And so you see the medical side of it, you see the military side of it, you see the consequence to human beings. You get kind of just a really interesting thing from there. And I had always been kind of interested in Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron, in terms of his story. I'd read some books on him in the past, and they talked a lot about the pilots were the cavalry in the sky. But I was kind of struck as I read it that he was always talked about, I'm so glad I'm up in this plane and not in those trenches. And it really struck home why that was a really accurate assessment, to say none of it's good, but boy, if you can not be in those trenches in those situations, that would be best, because it was just horrible. So. But it's just a lot of interesting stuff, things I didn't know. It's well done, well crafted in terms of how they kind of pull it all together. It keeps your interest. They take a lot of different angles on it. It's not a morality tale on one being the right side and one being the wrong side on it. It's about, when you get into a conflict like this, what are the consequences to people? What's happening on all those types of things. So I found it pretty. I didn't anticipate that I would be as interested in 8 episodes on World War I, but as I got into it, I really enjoyed it. And ironically enough, I got into it when I was sick, and so when I was looking for something, I said, I'll watch an hour of this, and so illness brought me to this one as well. So there you go.
So these are 1 hour long episodes?
Yes.
Okay.
About 51 minutes. Yeah.
That sounds. You've made that sound interesting enough that I might watch it. I'm not much into the World War I and World War II. I like ancient history. You could tell me about ancient wars, and I'd be really interested. But that sounds. I like history that's not told from the perspective of what the winning country. Get a good view of it from everybody. That sounds interesting. I'm gonna have to watch that brothel episode too.
Yeah.
Government
tell me what you think about it. Because so maybe maybe the drugs had kicked in for me at that point in time or something, and I was losing. But I was just like, I was just so confused because one, I was like, why are you still going on with this stuff? Because your objective to kind of, it's a brothel. I get it. I know kind of, but it kept going and going, and then I'm like, did they film this for? Is this actual footage? And why did they film it then? And it's just things look wrong. It's just so if you do watch it, I would be very interested in your. Maybe we can do a little update to the blog post after you watch it.
We'll let all of you know if we think that's real brothel footage.
Yes, that's the outstanding question at this time.
Yes.
Real or fake?
Cool. Well, there you go. Kelly's going to make me watch a World War I show, which was not something I ever would think would happen.
That's what happens on Nurture and Support.
That's right. I like my wars more in video games. Though there is a video game that's about, I don't know if it's about World War I or World War II. I think it's called Valiant Hearts, but there's a dog that's one of the characters in there, and I will not play it. Everybody tells me it's great, and I won't play it. I think they've actually even made it like a tablet game as well, but I could be wrong. But yeah, it's supposed to be a really sad story, and I'm like, the dog's gonna die. I know it. The dog's gonna die. I'm not gonna play this game. I don't play games where they killed the dogs. Not gonna happen. So there you go. I like my wars a little more lighthearted than that, or at least fictional. So there you go. We've got DungeonFlicker, a fictional war up a tower, and World War I in a brothel.
In a brothel. What more can you ask for?
So I think that will conclude this week's episode of Nurture and Support. We'll turn it over to Matt, who will tell everyone how to get in touch with us and leave a comment, share one of your recommendations with us, and maybe we'll talk about it on the show. And we'll be back next week.
Thanks for listening.
You can contact us on our website, nurtureandsupport.net, or email us at nurtandsupp@gmail.com. That's NURTANDSUPP@gmail.com. Or tweet us at nurtandsupp on Twitter.
Nurturing and supporting Target.